This is video number 9, organize files and create folders. In this video, we'll show you how to organize your files and to create a folder structure so you can store all the recordings efficiently. So I'm here on my desktop, and this is my OMT recordings folder where I store all the different recordings that we did during our OMT translations. You see a few different things. You see 2 languages and this folder template. I'm gonna come back to the folder template later, and I'm just gonna show you first how a language looks like. Now make sure this whole video is a suggestion. We believe that's a good way of storing things, but depending on your circumstances, you might make it differently. If you have a MacBook, a folder structure will look different. This video is optimized for Windows. So going into Zurich German, as one of my languages, I have 2 folders first. I have a draft folder and the final folder. The draft folder is for everything that's still in progress, that's still working on, where things are still being edited, where there's a community check that just went out, came back. In my final folder is everything that is finished. So each chapter just should have one recording of the whole chapter. Let me show you my draft folder. Going into the folder, you have the structure of the whole Bible. The books are labeled from 1 to 66, which is Revelation. So Genesis to Revelation. So it is in order. There is underscores that you see that separate the different things. And you can click on each book and it will show you all the chapters. So I am going to click on Luke, and here I see all the chapters, and we're going to open Luke 10, and here I have what's within a chapter folder. I have a project and I have recordings, or like exported audio. So here's the project I'm working on, and here are the exported audios. This is the bilingual version that will be the community check, and this is the final edit that will be ultimately sent out as our final product. In each folder, I have a folder called old, which just has stuff that I'm not using at the moment. This, for example, is a take that was done before and had to be re-recorded. As you can see here, this is take 2. So this is my draft folder. There is a project, there is exports, and there can be a lot of different things here. Just use the old folder to keep order. I'm going back to the first folder structure, and I'm going to final. Here I just have one audio, or like the audio of just the whole chapter. So if you look again at Luke, and if you look at Luke chapter 10, you can see there is the audio for the whole chapter for the verses 1 to 42. Here we have the example that is split up into 2 recordings just because there were 2 other recordings for it, but it's just one recording for the whole chapter. So we have these 2 together and they form the whole chapter. You could even use Audacity to put these 2 together, but I just made this as an example that there can be, in this way, there can be different files, but basically every verse is just translated once. Even here there's an older folder, but here you just want to have what's ultimately being sent out. So how can you create this folder structure? Well, you could set it up individually, but we have a better way because we have this folder template here that is basically the same structure with a draft and a final, with the different book titles and each chapter assigned. So what you want to do is you just copy it and you paste it. That might take some time. Once your folder is copied, you have the copy here, and you just rename it with the language you are translating. For example, let's assume we translate Kushe from a language from the Pacific Islands. So I have this folder here with the language and with the same folder structure. The second thing you could do is to use our OMT folder template batch file. It just works for Windows, but it basically creates this folder structure for you. So you would start a new folder. Let's assume we want to translate Basel German. You open the folder, you create a draft, and you create a final. Folder. You copy this bat file into one of the folders, and you just double click on it. And now Windows Explorer just created the whole folder structure for you. You can look it up. Here's Genesis 1, and here is the first chapter. So yeah, you can see it's 1 to 50, so you have all the chapters here in an overview. Now you want to do the same thing with the final folder. I'm not going to show this here for the sake of time, but basically you would run the program again. You can download both of these. You can download the batch file as well as the folder template from the link that will be on the surface of this video, as well as in the PDF that is coming with the video. I have here the example of Kujaleh. Again, if you finish the draft, so you would go to draft. Let's assume you sent something to the community, it came back, you edited it the second time, it's finished. I'm looking up the project we made with Luke 12. So here you can see we have here Kujaleh, Luke 12, bilingual final edit. We have the project itself. And we want to move this final edit to our final section. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to move to the final section. I'm going to look again for Luke 12, and I'm going to paste it here. So I've pasted it here, and now because now the date doesn't really matter anymore, so I'm just going to shorten down the whole label. So I'm going to click on rename, and it will be Kujaleh, Luke 12 verses 1 to 59. No final edit, nothing anymore, just a raw file. Because like this, I can send it out to somebody and they have all the information they need, but nothing else. No more information that would just confuse them. And this can also be super helpful if you give it to somebody else who works with this final edit, or maybe if you want to upload it to an app, or even to like third-party people that are involved in any kind of way. So you can just copy them in here, give it a good tag. In the end, you'll have your final folder with all the recordings of the different chapters. Now we also want to take care of the backup. Your computer might break down or gets destroyed or stolen or whatever, and you lose access to your recordings. So you want to make sure to have a backup on a flash drive. And if you have the possibility, you even want to have a backup online on something like Google Drive or OneDrive, iCloud, just to make sure it's saved in different spaces. For the start, it's probably good to just work with 2 backups, one on your computer and one on a flash drive. So as you see my OMT backup here. So I'm going to open this. So my OMT backup and the translations where I have Kujaleh and German already. Now to make it a bit more convenient, I can press the Windows button and my arrows to actually split my screen. This can be super helpful if you want to migrate files. And as you can see, my screen is split. So what I want to do now is I want to update my Kujaleh version because I just changed something in it. And I want to copy the Kujaleh folder into my backup. So usually you just use drag and drop, just put it there. And now you will reach this destination. So you just want to skip these files and you'll see that it didn't change anything, but it updated what I put in the final folder of Luke 12, if you remember from the beginning of this video. So now it has Kujaleh Luke 12. So it automatically basically just copied the things that were different in this file here. This was Kujaleh, basically how to update a folder that's already there, but you can also just copy a folder that you've been working on. It is Kushai in our example. Again, just drag and drop it here. And as you can see, it just copied the whole folder, which is basically happening at the beginning. So make sure these two backups are there, and this will give you a good backbone for your recordings.